Hello and welcome to episode 56 of When the Flames Go Up, the ATFC podcast with me, Will Brown. Just a quick one tonight, really. We've got the thoughts of Guy coming up and of myself as well. I'll chip in a little bit, why not? Just a little voice note episode this week, as it's a Saturday, Tuesday situation. Same again next week, I imagine, unless I am a little bit more free. So enjoy this shortened episode and email the pod atfcpodcast@gmail.com. And while we're at it, I mean, if you fancy sending a voice note for next week, then feel free and send it to that email address and we'll patch it in. So enjoy the episode and up the shots.
I'm afraid I didn't get the chance to actually watch the previous two games prior to this week's. So I've missed sort of the resurgence of Aldershot's form, or at least the sort of the early stages of it. But it's nice to sort of catch them in full flow. Thinking about the Aldershot against Ebbsfleet game, that was quite wild. That 15 minutes between sort of, I think, minutes 15 and 30, where 5 goals went in. It was great to see Aldershot taking the lead twice, but so frustrating to see them getting pegged back so quickly, which I think is something that we've been talking about in terms of the defence since the start of the season. But really, this is actually something symptomatic of Tommy Witherington's sides anyway. We noted last year that we score a lot of goals at one end of the pitch, but we would concede a lot as well. And it seems that we still have that a bit of a leakiness at the back. Although, as I've noted, I was in prior to this call, having a look at our defence over the last few games, and it's really striking that despite me saying it's a little bit leaky, it has tightened up, or at least it's a little bit more consistent, because you've got the same players playing week in and week out. And since the end of February, we've pretty much had the three at the back, Woodhouse and Armitage, serving as backs, with usually people changing in the middle. So there is a little bit of sort of solidity and consistency there that perhaps there wasn't earlier in the season. But coming back to the Ebbsfleet game and those first 5 goals, those I have to say that the Aldershot ones were well taken. My grumbles were a little bit around the Ebbsfleet goals. So that first one, the striker approached the box and no one seems to be tackling him, which gave him a chance to just fire it through. The second one as well, it was pretty much straight on goal, a free kick, which really I think that we should have done better in defending against. And the third one was a defensive mix-up. That said, it was great that we did come back and we were able to get a third goal and level things up. And we could have gone further. I mean, we could have pulled ahead with the last quarter of the game, opportunities being spurned from Barrett, Jones, and Woodhouse. So a bit frustrating that playing against the bottom side we didn't get the full 3 points. But given where we were in the table, or at least certainly where we are now, where we're sort of starting to push in, almost knocking on the top 12 or the top half of the table, and having reached to the magic 50 points that we've talked about as being what may make the difference between us staying up and going for the drop, I think that I will take that. The second game, obviously, against Wealdstone, which happened on Tuesday night, the first half was a little bit poor. I mean, there were some half chances. I did think what was encouraging was to see our forward play was quite snappy, quite fast. I've said this in previous episodes that one of the problems with the National League is if you build up too slowly, the other team gets bodies behind the ball, and then it's really hard to break through and to make a chance on goal. So I was really pleased to see that our forward play has been quite sort of lively, quite active, and even if I feel we're making more chances than we were a couple of months ago. So, the more chances you make, the possibility of a goal coming is greater. I have to say that the first goal, Wealdstone's, frustrating that it came in the 8th minute so soon after the start. But it was a well taken goal. Lovely flick by the player to his colleague, who dinked it over at Dewhurst. So it was a well taken goal. But Aldershot's goals, when we came back in the second half, it was a changed team. I think we all talked about it on the WhatsApp group. Very fantastic, very pleasing to see the team sort of take up a gear and go out and battle for the ball and deserve effectively what they got. I mean, Henry, that first goal was after a bit of a goalmouth melee of balls going back, pinging back and forth, and finally it going in. That second one was a beautiful goal taken from just outside the box, but also shows that Wealdstone really didn't close him down. I mean, they should have done better. And Barrett's third one, which was wonderful, sort of played off the side of his boot, almost looking as if he was looking the other way. So that was fantastic. I've had a look actually at Henry's minutes since he's come back in the last few games, and it's notable that he's starting to pick up minutes, although the last couple of games it's been sort of 30 minutes or so, although when he did start against Maidenhead he had 60 minutes. And when you look at the other forwards, you've got Barrett and Barham, who are pretty much playing the whole game, and then this sort of, I guess, could lead us to discussing a little bit once we're all together about the sort of the team, or what the team management was saying earlier in the season about how they intended to have some starters, but then players that they were going to bring on to finish. I'm wondering whether that's starting to be torn up a little bit as we sort of get towards the sort of the final few weeks of the season, where we're starting to see particular players just constantly appearing in their position and not being taken out unless they have to. Hence why we're seeing Barrett and Barham up front, and Woodhouse and Armitage at the back. But it was great to see Henry, though, coming back and getting those 2 goals, having been away injured for a while, and it almost feels like we've gone back to the start of the season, when he was very much sort of the playmaker, and we seem to be scoring for fun. Now, I know, sort of looking at the what's coming up, we've got 2 games in the next week against Rochdale and Fylde, of course, both away. At least sort of the odds at the moment are in Rochdale's favour. I see the bookmakers are banking more on a home win for Rochdale over an Aldershot victory. But then if you look at our form, I mean, over the last 4 games we've won 3 and drawn 1, whereas Rochdale's drawn 2 and lost 2. So they may well they may well be there for the taking, and they're only about 7 points away from us. I know we've had a little bit of a light-hearted banter in the WhatsApp group that that the playoffs might be, back on for us. Maybe it's a little bit of wishful thinking, but certainly if we were to beat Rochdale, then certainly maybe it's an outside chance. Although given that they lost 4-0 against York, I'm sure that they have plenty that they want to make up for, and to prove that they're not the sort of the walkovers that we would like them to be. As for Fylde as well, I mean, we're playing them away. Their form isn't great either. They've lost 3 out of their last 4, although their most recent game at the weekend was a victory against Forest Green Rovers, who are flying quite high. I mean, they do have Yeovil between that game and us. So who knows? Maybe things will be a bit different after that game, before we see them on Tuesday. But overall, I'm feeling quite confident. I'm quite happy with the way the team is playing. Had that sort of where we were struggling to put form together. We were doing well. We were not. As I've said in previous episodes, we were drawing rather than winning, losing rather than drawing. It's nice to see us actually putting a bit of a run together, and that's only got to help us as we come towards the end of the season, and more importantly, of course, the FA Trophy semi-final, which we're all looking forward to.
Hello, it's me. Episode 56, is it? So, what a week. What another week. Shots are absolutely flying. Out of nowhere. Kind of out of nowhere. Is it out of nowhere? Don't know. What's happened? it's hard to put my finger on it because it seems like the lineup's changed every other week. We've got injuries, we've got all these different cups that we managed to knock ourselves out of, luckily in that mad week. And all the while, we're just winning games that we weren't expected to win, I think, and then drawing some games maddeningly. Ebbsfleet and Dagred and Braintree and even Woking stick out in my head since well the last few months. And then in between that, we've won some unbelievable games, including last night against Wealdstone. A brilliant turnaround from 1-0 down at half time. James Henry's introduction immediately getting us into the lead, and Josh Barrett keeping his head above water in terms of the top goal scorer for the shots this season, making it to 14. James Henry just lurking behind him on 12. And yeah, it's great to see. Great to see. After the Wealdstone game, I mean, I joked with my Norwich supporting friend Jack. I said, "I'll tell you what, if we win tonight, we're closer to the playoffs than you are, Jack." He wasn't happy with that line of questioning, really. Different league, I suppose, which is fairly true. But after we won, he went ahead and did the maths because he seems to. Um, I mean, he sees that we score all the time. You know, there's lots of goals flying in. Um, and he said that Norwich have had a similar season. He did the maths. Norwich's games have had 114 goals so far this season, which is exactly 3 goals per game. And Aldershot's games have had 122 goals, which is 3.2 goals per game. No idea where that leaves us in the league table overall of goals per game, but I'd say Aldershot and Norwich are probably way up there. So we've definitely, white knuckle roller coaster ride of Tommy Widdrington is doing wonders. Not doing wonders for the blood pressure. Ebbsfleet at home, 3-3 was not the kind of game I was expecting. Ebbsfleet haven't scored 3 goals all season. Stuck 3 goals past us. Very, very strange. But at the end of the day, even despite them getting relegated and, thinking that we should have got 3 points from them, it was a very entertaining game. And one that had we got that goal, it would have been unbelievable and a remarkable turnaround from where we were. Anyway, that's enough about the recent games. I didn't go to the Wealdstone game last night. Shout out to anyone that did, and anyone that's heading up for this weekend's game against Rochdale. Obviously, the shots are 7 points off the playoffs, and the team that we're 7 points off just so happens to be a slightly out of form Rochdale, who are without a win in 4 now. Their last win also before that came against Altrincham, who are, I think they're second bottom of the form table. They're an absolute nightmare. They managed to get a draw last night against Solihull, but obviously Aldershot's win a couple of weeks ago there as well. They've lost to Southend, Rochdale, Aldershot, Wealdstone, Barnet. Then last night managed to get a point. So that's their last win, Rochdale. Sorry, I mean I'm talking about Altrincham a bit more now. Manchester, isn't it? So yeah, as I said, they're currently seventh. The previous meeting earlier in the season at the Rec was a 2-0 win for Rochdale. I mean, I think I said it at the time. I just thought they're the best team I've seen at the Rec this season, and I don't think I've been proven by any other team that's turned up here. They were quality. So I'm not really sure what's happened because they should have been a dead cert, especially with all the teams that are faltering. Gateshead, Oldham, Altrincham, Halifax have had a little falter at points. They should be clearly third or fourth. So I'm not sure what's gone on, not more what's going wrong. Cairo Mitchell and Devante Rodney scored that day with 2 first half goals, and Cairo Mitchell is currently ahead. Top goal scorer with 17 goals. We've also got a loanee from Ipswich, Leon Ayinde, who did start last night. He's only scored 1 goal in the National League so far. Ian Henderson got a nice 30 minutes. The 40-year-old, I believe. Did I check this? I believe he might be. Sorry, I'm researching as I go here. I think he might be 41 by the time we play them. No, he's already 40. There we go. Yeah, January. Sorry. No worries. No worries. Why am I saying that? To my own line of questioning. Anyway, that's Rochdale. It just so happens that this weekend is my 30th birthday. So it fell on the perfect weekend to do a Manchester weekender. So I'll be up there from Friday with the boys. Manchester beers, Salford beers, Rochdale beers. It's also the FA Cup weekend as well. That brings a little sprinkling of magic beforehand. I'll be doing Pill Park Run. If you're around, come and join. The only problem with it is my birthday on the 30th. It's a double whammy, really. It's Mother's Day, so fortunately I've sorted that out the weekend before. We don't have to worry about Mother's Day. Clocks go forward at 2 a.m., which is an absolute joke. So a real nightmare for a night out to get to 2 a.m. and that just immediately becomes 3 a.m. So yeah, quite aggrieved that I only get a 23-hour birthday. But such is life. Such is life. So hoping for that shots can spring a surprise and do something mad and win 4 away games in a row in the league. I think that would be 5 away games in a row in all comps as well. Crazy. Crazy to think that we could. And the way they're going and the confidence that they're currently in, I'm going to go with a lot of optimism. And if we can just rattle them early doors and Josh Barrett do something mad, I think it can be a bit of an Oldham job where we upset the apple cart once again. Um, sorry, I've probably been rambling quite a long time here, but the next game after that, before we have any other episode of this anyway, will be Filed at home next Tuesday. Two games that we got next the next 2 Tuesdays, Boston and Filed. I mean, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they were looking absolutely essential that we get 3 points from both of those. Two home games against struggling teams in position. That that should have been they're the games that we're worried about. Um, and now it seems like we've now just got a chance to hopefully relegate Filed. Do something to relegate Filed, or um, or find a way to you know twist their arm and get Nick Horton for next season. Um, Aldershot's biggest defeat of the season so far was against Filed, 5-2 last year. Nick Horton scored once that day, which is a surprise for him. He usually pops up with as many as he feels like. He is up to 17 goals for the season. Um, yeah, so as I said, that's Ultra's biggest defeat and biggest margin of defeat this season. That was yeah, free goal margin in the 5-2 defeat there. Filed at the moment are set in 22nd, 1 point off Dag Red outside of the relegation zone. It's looking tasty because Filed in 22nd are 3 points off Woking in 18th. So that's one win away. Woking have got a favourable, I don't know. Would you say favourable? I don't know. Home game against Braintree, who have almost certainly themselves pulled themselves away a little bit. They're on 48 points now, 6 points ahead of Woking in 17th. So they'll be keeping an eye on that because we're getting towards, Filed. Oh, Filed at home is 4 days out from the big one, uh, which is Woking at home in the FA Trophy. There are very limited tickets, I think. The only thing left is the slab, and a few more Woking tickets were given up in the week. So if anyone's got any idea what the attendance is now, please can someone let us know. It's quite annoying not knowing what our capacity is. Because I've seen so many numbers bandied about. I want to know if this could be the biggest one since Manchester United. Can it be? I don't even know. We obviously won't have all of No Man's Land at all, so I don't know how many people fit in there. So if anyone got any further info, then let me know. Anyway, that's enough rambling from me. You've heard from Guy, you've heard from me. Hope you have a lovely rest of your weeks. Enjoy Rochdale away if you're coming up. Um, I'll try and wear a badge that says 30 on it. You don't have to buy me a drink, but it would be a shame if you didn't. Um, for half time. Thanks. Um, and hopefully next week we're about 4 points off the playoffs and talking and dreaming of the W word and the W word again. Imagine if we did it twice. Crazy. What a difference a couple of wins makes. Me and Julian in January, the people doubted us when we beat Oldham that we were talking about playoffs. Look at you now, crawling back in your little mid-table hole. Yeah. That's enough. Anyway, right, up the shots. See you next week.